Australians out there will most definitely remember the Indigenous Voice to Parliament referendum last year, a proposal pushed by the elites and the activist class, backed in by a hopelessly woke left-wing Labor government, headed up by a Prime Minister who was using it as a dry run for a referendum on an Australian republic. The referendum was supported by every cultural institution and a host of big corporations, all intent on changing our constitution to give Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people extra rights because of their race. However, despite the mountains of institutional and political support, the referendum failed, with a resounding 60% of the population voting no. And remember, voting in Australia is compulsory. It was a resounding victory for equality, unity, and of course, just plain old common sense. So it should come as no surprise, given what appears to be the global climate at the moment, that a similar happening occurred in Ireland a couple of weeks ago. On International Women's Day, March the 8th, Ireland held two referendums to change the 39th and 40th Amendments to their constitution, which is to supposedly change or remove apparently sexist, outdated language relating to family, women and care. And much like Australia's Indigenous Voice referendum, the outcome of both Irish referendums, family and care, was a resounding no. 67% and 74% no respectively. Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar dejectedly conceded defeat.
The family amendment and the care amendment referendums have been defeated comprehensively on a respectable turnout. So the government accepts the result and will respect it fully.
Not only that, Leo Varadkar resigned this week. Clearly, he doesn't think his position is tenable any longer.
When I became party leader and Taoiseach back in June 2017, I knew that one part of leadership is knowing when the time has come to pass on the baton to somebody else, and then having the courage to do it. That time is now. So I am resigning as President and Leader of Fine Gael effective today, and will resign as Taoiseach as soon as my successor is able to take up that office. My reasons for stepping down are both personal and political.
So, what were these supposedly horribly sexist pieces of language that were so awful they warranted a referendum? Well, the first text to be altered, the family referendum, was the state recognises the family as the natural, primary and fundamental unit group of society and as a moral institution possessing inalienable and imprescriptible rights, antecedent and superior to all positive law, and the state pledges itself to guard with special care the institution of marriage on which the family is founded and to protect it against attack. The proposed change was to alter the text to be, the state recognises the family, whether founded on marriage or on other durable relationships, as the natural primary and fundamental unit group of society and as a moral institution possessing inalienable and imprescriptible rights, antecedent and superior to all positive law. And also to take out the sentence denoting that the family is founded on marriage. And as for the care referendum, the original text is, in particular, the state recognises that by her life within the home, woman gives to the state a support without which the common good cannot be achieved, and the state shall therefore endeavour to ensure that mothers shall not be obliged by economic necessity to engage in labour to the neglect of their duties in the home. Now, the referendum proposed to remove both of those, what I would have thought were very pro-women, pro-motherhood articles, and replace them with, the state recognises that the provision of care by members of a family to one another by reason of the bonds that exist among them gives to society a support without which the common good cannot be achieved and shall strive to support such provision. Now, look, it doesn't take a genius to recognise the agenda here. It's a left-wing push to dilute the institution of marriage and erase the very unique and crucial role that mothers play in the care of children, because apparently in lefty land it's demeaning to suggest that mothers having a constitutional right to the time and space to stay home and focus on caring for their children is somehow demeaning and also sexist. Well, with 40% turnout, which is quite reasonable for a non-compulsory vote in a referendum, the Irish people said a firm no to this left-wing woke agenda. So firm was the no, in fact, that some ballot counters found miraculous medallions, which are devotional medals to the Virgin Mary, stuffed into the ballot boxes along with the ballot papers. So strongly did voters feel about these proposed changes to the Irish Constitution. Now, look, a couple of things on these failed amendments. First, adding the clause that family is based on other durable relationships as well as marriage isn't just some nice inclusive way of including de facto couples in the Irish Constitution. Think about the number of Muslim migrants who now reside in Ireland and are continuing to arrive. It is not a stretch to assume that this vague term, other durable relationships, is a way of shoehorning polygamy into the fabric of Irish society and into the Constitution, given that, culturally, men in many Muslim countries, Muslim-majority countries, that is, may have multiple wives. Secondly, don't be fooled by the assertion that the Yes campaign wanted to ensure equality or respect for women by removing reference to mothers and their duties in the home from the Constitution. Because note what was also to be removed. It was the clause, the state shall therefore endeavour to ensure that mothers shall not be obliged by economic necessity to engage in labour to the neglect of their duties in the home. As such, all that amendment would have done is to push another left-wing agenda, to break up the family unit to the point that both men and women are working and therefore paying taxes to the state. It is a revenue-raising exercise, nothing more. As it stands in Ireland, women have a constitutional right to stay at home and devote their time, love and care to their children if they choose, and the Irish government must endeavour to facilitate that. Now, how that must make leftists fume, the notion that they can't coerce women into the workforce thanks to the Irish Constitution. How insidious these activists wanted to remove that constitutional right under the guise of modernising the document or gender equality or eradicating sexism and all the rest. So, bravo Ireland for resisting the woke forces that would undercut the fabric of the West. But be warned, this will not be the only time they try something like this. Stay tuned for the next instalment, I'm sure.